Boom, let's go. We're live.
I see it.
How's it going,
Awesome.
brother?
It's going well, man. How are you?
Just taking over the world. We've been trying to figure out the audio stuff for this. I'm excited for this one.
Yes, we have. And I think
I'm
we
in,
got the audio.
you sound great. You sound
Thank you.
buttery.
You too.
You sound
And we
like
got
oh
we
yeah.
got the audio too.
Oh yeah. That's right. Oh yeah. That's right. Ladies
Yeah.
and gentlemen, welcome to the Ponytails Podcast. If this is your first episode, welcome. My name is Andres Gamboa. I am joined today by David Thomas, who is the first musician, well, not the first musician actually, but the first musician that we've had on the show that's going to perform live while we chat through some stories about going door to door, some inspiration about where music comes from, and we're going to hear some of the stuff you've already written and then some new stuff that's coming out in February. Is that right?
Oh yeah.
Am I saying that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, baby, that sounds good. So if you're listening for the first time, welcome. This is, again, the podcast is interviewing people who sold books door to door in college for this crazy internship that we did. And we love the guests. Man, this is some good intro music. I like, let's
Yeah,
go.
right?
This is great. So, yeah, a couple of announcements before we dive into the show. Make sure you guys follow us, subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, hit subscribe to get more of these. We have a variety of guests who are in a variety of places in their lives, and it's super interesting every time, at least in my opinion. Otherwise, we wouldn't do this. So, on that note, big shout out really quick to some of our friends and some of the people that are helping us bring this to you. We couldn't do this without them. First off, I would like to give a shout out to Elevate Wellness. These guys are fantastic human beings who are helping me. Yeah, do that upbeat. Yeah. These guys are helping us get into shape for BIZZLER, which is the alumni trip that we have coming up in August. Here's the thing. If you guys are looking for somebody that is going to help you get into your fitness goals, not only your fitness goals, but your nutritional goals and your mental state goals, these are the guys for you. It's an all-around wellness treatment that we do. So I'm out here reading positive material. I'm out here dealing with some really good nutritional, physical health stuff, and I'm getting the best workout I think I've ever gotten in my life, which is saying a lot because I have had some great coaches in the past. So want to give a shout out to them. If you guys are interested in learning how to elevate your life and get into shape, make sure you hit them up, or you can talk to us and we can get them in contact with you. As well as Aptive. Aptive is brought to you by Nick Warner. So Nick is actually really cool. A career opportunity. If you need something to do this summer, if you sold door to door and you're like, man, I love sales, I just didn't necessarily like the culture over at Southwestern, that's okay. You're not alone. But Aptive is a good alternative. So Aptive is going and looking for people this summer to go out and make a shit ton of money. Going door to door, selling some pest control. They are a really cool company as well. They are doing incredible work with charities. So there's a lot of also altruistic opportunity there for you to get involved with. Nick is an awesome person to have worked with, to be working with as well. And honestly, we had Aaron Raleigh on the show. If you want more details on how they get paid and how that whole system works, going to door Southwestern. That's a great episode for you, Aaron Raleigh, number 82. So a couple episodes ago. Check out all those details. We're also going to have Nick Warner on at the end of the month. That'll actually be the official season finale of Ponytails Podcast Season 3. Season 4 will start with the Love February couples. So we're going to have only couples, married couples who met selling books door to door.
Cool.
And that's really the beginning. So that's all our partners. Let's do this, my friend. You already cracked your beer open?
No, sir. First beer of the day.
Hang on a sec.
Wait, I'm doing the mic.
Oh, there it is.
That's bad. See, Sprite did good marketing. It makes me think of Sprite when I do that.
I think you're right. I think there's something about that. There's
something about it.
Pretty solid.
They had like a T-Pain commercial. Oh.
We're gonna do two. We're gonna go.
That's like the little mini airplane bottle, though. I feel like that has a different timbre than if you're like opening a fifth, which that's a good level.
That's true. There's two
convenient. Yeah.
Also, I asked my fiance if she could really quick while we were getting set up if she could pour me some tequila, and I was like, "Give me a shot of tequila." And this is what a shot of tequila is to my fiance. It's gonna be a fun wedding.
That looks like when I have a glass of water and someone's like, "What is that?" And I'm like, "It's vodka." Meanwhile, it's like a full glass of water. That's what that one looks like.
And I have a problem. It's vodka and I have issues. Yes. Oh man, brother. So yeah, we don't have to go in chronological order. Normally we talk about how you got into Southwestern, but we can get into that a little later. I'm actually curious. We could start off with just straight up playing a song, something that you that you're excited to start out with. I guess it's
Okay.
dealer's choice. Do you want to go? Do you want to play something, or do we want to chat a little bit and see what comes up?
Yeah, I'll play something. I'm gonna take another sip of this.
Yes, please do.
I'll play Sooner or Later, which is my next single that's coming out. We're like 99% of the way done with my mixing engineer, Ian Hatcher. Shout out, Ian. Um, and yeah, it's kind of about my life and growing up in Brooklyn, living in my parents' house. And, it's like sooner or later, I may one day do all these things. I may stand on the top of the world, but I'll never have this moment again. And yeah. And I can be very much in my thoughts and very much like, oh, I got to do this, got to do that, and then I'll be happy. And I feel like a lot of where I'm at in life right now is just realizing like I'm good where I am. And when I get all those things, that'll be great. Whatever ends up happening, and just like really enjoying the present moment. So that's
Amazing.
what this song's about.
I love that. And when is this going to be released officially?
So we're shooting for February 18th on that Friday. It might be a little before or after, but should be out in February.
Okay.
And working
And
on
then we
music
can-
video and all this stuff.
Cool. And then we can find it on Apple Podcasts. Where can we find you?
Yeah.
Or
So
Apple Music, or where we at?
yeah, Apple Music, on Spotify. I'm more of a Spotify guy, but I love Apple Music people too. And then also working on a couple music videos as well. There's actually gonna be a shorter version of the song that's more radio version. That's like 3 minutes, and then a longer version that's almost 5 minutes. And so that one will be saved for, excuse me. That one will be saved for a longer video that I'm working on with a friend right now as well.
Cool beans. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So listen in. Well, if you're listening, this is Sooner or Later by David Thomas, available on February 18th, around February 18th ish on Apple Music and Spotify. Take it away, my man.
Cool. And what I'll say also is that audio file I sent you as well.
Yes, sir.
When we get through the first verse and chorus, then that's when you can go in, when those audio waveforms get really big. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes. Okay. I'll find it in the meantime. So
That's
we can
when
listen to
the juicy
audio.
production comes in.
Sounds good.
All right, cool. So set the scene here. In the song, we got rain coming down. Actually, here's what I'll do. I'll play. So I think about how these songs are going to flow together. And it's like, what's the album? Basically, what I'm doing is kind of releasing one and then another and then another. And then at the end, it's going to be all like one cohesive album. So let me play a little intro here. So let me set the scene. We're going to have video for this one day. Set the scene, right? So you got like birds chirping, chirp, 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 chirp. The sun's coming up in the video. And then you hear like a single string line, like, and then birds chirping a little bit, and then so this is gonna be like an instrumental, and then it'll kind of go like just sort of intro, and that's like no lyrics and stuff, and then more string, probably a guitar on top, so it'll kind of build up, get big, more birds chirping and all this kind of thing. And I love putting like nature music and stuff, ambience in my songs. And anyway, and then it kind of ends. And then all of a sudden the birds volume goes down, and then you got city noise coming in, and like, New York City. Yeah, that's where I'm from.
Traffic. Yeah.
Traffic, right? Horns, sirens, all of that. You've been there. And yeah, and then you like the sound of rain. So it's like kind of a little bit more dull here. And that's where we go. Sooner or later I'll be living on my own, and sooner or later I'll be up and out this home. Sooner or later I'll be almost fully grown, it's bound to be. Sooner or later I will kiss my parents bye, and sooner or later wonder if my mom will cry. Sooner or later I'll be on the next ride, it's bound to be. My mom's watching this, by the way. Hi, Mom. There's a world outside of Brooklyn. There's a life for which I'm looking. There are walls that will come tumbling down as I reach up for the peaks. May one day stand at the top of the world. May one day land the most beautiful girl. May one day get the chance to heal the world, but I'll never have this moment again. May one day become one with the sky. May one day see my dreams finally fly. May one day find the peace deep inside, but I'll never have this moment again. And now you can play the other part.
Gotcha. I'll share this audio real quick.
Sooner or later, I'll just keep singing until you.
Yeah,
oh yeah,
it.
cool. No.
Here we go.
All right, hit it. Perfect. Sooner or later, I'll be living on the road, and sooner or later, I'll be playing sold out shows. Sooner or later, I'll be tossed to and fro. It's bound to be. Sooner or later, I will meet the girl that's right. And sooner or later, she'll blow my fucking mind, man. Sooner or later, have some kids in my life. Life will never be the same again. I got dreams for which I'm working. If destiny is real, I'm looking. Try to be the man, still firm on the ground as the waves crash over me. I may one day stand at the top of the world. I may one day land the most beautiful girl. May one day get the chance to heal the world, but I'll never have this moment again. I may one day become one with the sky. I may one day see my dreams finally fly. May one day find the peace deep inside, but I'll never have this moment again. And when the clouds do break and we have found a new day, and the painful past has now become a memory, when we're free at last and finally feel the rays of the sun, yes, that is what I'm working for today. And then in the music video, you can keep playing.
Yeah.
In the music video now, it's like all the stuff going on, and then we're like back there to the present.
Dude, I love this. This is great.
Thank you, dude.
Yeah.
And those birds, those are actually recorded from the front of my house in Brooklyn.
Let's go.
I may one day stand at the top of the world. I may one day land the most beautiful girl. May one day get the chance to heal the world, but I'll never have this moment again. I may one day become one with the sky. I may one day see my dreams finally fly. May one day find the peace deep inside, but I'll never have this moment again. Oh, I'll never have this moment again. Yes, I'll never have this moment again. I may one day find the peace deep inside, but I'll never have this moment again. Oh, I'll never have this moment again. Yes, I'll never have this moment again. I may one day stand at the top of the world, but I'll never have this moment again.
Let's go, dude. That's awesome. Whoa, available sooner or later by David Thomas, available to you in February 18-ish.
Thank you.
On Apple, Spotify, and Apple Music and Spotify.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go, brother. That's
And
so
YouTube.
Cool.
Thank you.
And YouTube. That's right.
And
music
YouTube.
video.
And basically how it works is you upload songs to a distributor, and like CD Baby I was using for a while. Now I'm using IndieFlow. Shout out IndieFlow. Cool music management software. And basically what they do is they distribute to like 30 different platforms. So like Deezer and all these other ones. I don't really know what's going on over there, but available everywhere is what I'm trying to say.
Heck yeah. Well, first off, thanks for sharing that. That's really cool that you would want to do this and you want to do this live and you kind of give us like a little exclusive, uh, rollout before it comes out. I saw the video of you performing it on the street in Brooklyn, or where
Yeah.
is that where you were? Were you in Brooklyn?
Yeah.
That's awesome, dude. Good
Yeah.
stuff.
Thank
All
you.
right, so let's dive into this thing. So let me ask you this. Let's start here with the music. Um, where where does that inspiration come from for you? Like,
Mm.
how did you get started in music? How did you decide that this is something that you wanted to pursue with so much passion? And walk us through kind of your musical journey up to here.
Yeah, so I think from a young age, I was always really connected with music, and I would really feel emotions off of it, and like kind of like a spiritual thing. I was just like really connected with it, and I ended up kind of going from music to like on my path. I did acting at a performing arts high school in Manhattan, LaGuardia, and then I did mechanical engineering, and then I sold books door to door, and basically coming out of college, I had a mechanical engineering degree, and I had some job offers and some things on the table, some options there, and something really deep inside me was telling me to do music. And at that point, I'd written maybe like one full song, but I was like really feeling it, and I was like, all right, like you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go and pursue that. And so anyway, yeah, it's been really cool, and just kind of as far as writing the songs, it's like when I'm sitting down, kind of how it works for me is like I'm sort of feeling emotions of some sort. Maybe I'm really excited or, I'm feeling, pretty down about something, and I'll just sit on the piano and I'll start, noodling around and until I find, oh, see, like when I played that, I got the shivers there. So it's like just find something that like, oh, that feels really good. Um, and that's the song Love Yourself. I'll play that a little later. And yeah, and just anyway, just seeing where that takes me, where that goes, and usually things just kind of start coming out. So that's kind of what that's like.
Whoa. And is your process, do you take a couple of days? Because I've heard of it all. My brother actually has a band. He's like 17, 18, and he's awesome. He's really, really good at it. But his
Cool.
process, some of his songs he writes in like 20 minutes, and some
Yeah.
of them like it takes him months before he's ready for it. Is
Yeah.
that what is it like for you? Does it ever feel perfect? What's the writing process look like?
Yeah, so it's normally like totally the same way where it's some of them come really fast and I'll sit down and I love using those legal notepads and I'll just like start writing. And I will, some of them they'll just come kind of all at once. And, you know, I'll be like, I go in these like sort of zones. My parents could see this because I've been at home, over like quarantine and that kind of like 2 year stretch there. I'm in Austin, Texas right now. And anyway, so I'll be just like in a zone and it'll just be running through my head. And it's like, okay, cool. Now I got the chorus. I'll go down to my basement room and play on my electric piano and like work on something. And then I'll go back to the upright piano upstairs. And I'm just kind of in this headspace where it's just like being a vessel, like a vehicle for something.
Very cool. Dude,
And then
that's wild.
some songs it's like there's one song Girl on Fire where like the first verse came pretty quickly and then the second verse it's like I'm still working on that. So dude, it's almost like as I have life experiences, it's like I'm waiting for the life experience to happen that will give me that content.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand. I'm vibing. That's
Yeah.
awesome. But I do stand-up comedy. I don't know if many people know,
Really?
but I do
No way.
stand-up. Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
dope.
I was actually doing it professionally in enough to pay my rent. I wasn't like,
Yeah.
Netflix special or anything, but that's the same thing where it's like I'd have an idea for a joke and I'd be like, there's a punchline in here somewhere, but I just don't know it. The premise is funny, but I don't know how to like wrap it up to a point where it strikes. And then something
Yeah.
would happen in my life and I'm like,
Yeah.
that's the joke right there for sure. I totally get it. I totally get it. That's
Nice.
fantastic, though.
Yeah. Do you still do stand-up comedy?
Yes and no. I started again back here in Portland when I moved.
Yeah.
But when I don't know if you know, but there was a flu that was going around the
I
last
heard
couple of
about
years,
that
and
actually.
yeah, and and yeah, the difference I guess between comedy and music from a performance standpoint is like you can practice at home
Yeah.
if you're not doing
Yeah,
anything. I
yeah.
I can't like sit my roommates down and be like, hey, let me tell you, look how funny this could be. Like
You
the way
could.
that a comedian yeah, I suppose I could, but
Yeah.
the way a comedian practices is you go to open mics. And so since everything was closed, I really couldn't like go
Mm.
practice. kind of took a pause. I mean, I have a lot
Yeah.
of ideas that I wrote down, but I did go to a couple of open mics here in Portland, and the comics that were kind of regulars, so you could tell were regulars, were like,
Yeah.
"Oh, dude, like, have you joined this? Have you joined this community?" They asked me for like my information to like maybe have me open up for some shows or something like that.
Cool.
But I don't do it like I used to, and I miss it for sure. So, but I get the passion, I get the
Yeah.
like I feel like this is what I was born to do type of vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it comes through in your music.
Yeah. Thank you. And that's cool because now you're hosting a podcast, which,
Yeah,
not stand-up comedy, but it's like, in the same neighborhood.
yeah. It's an outlet of talking into a microphone to people who might want to listen,
Right.
which
And
I
they
still
might
don't know
and they
why.
and they might laugh,
They might laugh,
you know?
or they might cry, or they might
Yeah.
just turn it, stop in the middle of their workout and stop listening to my voice. That's also probably it's
Or
really
or they'll
common.
be in the middle of their workout and they'll be like, "You know whose voice I really wanna listen to? Andres Gamboa Barrera."
That's the positivity that we need right here. That's
Mhm.
the kind of vibes that we like right here. That's
I'll
awesome.
I'll tell you, I'm serious. I listen to the School of Greatness. Have you heard of that podcast?
No, I need to
Okay,
listen.
so
I'm gonna
Louis
write that
Lewis
down.
Howe's School of Greatness, um, and he just has, like, such a soothing, like, voice, and it feels just, like, very connected with his heart, and he interviews, people about, like, personal growth and spiritual life and self-improvement, and there are times where I'll be walking around in the morning, and I'll be like, "I could really use some School of Greatness right now," and I just turn it on. So,
Okay, that's right,
I
brother.
feel like
That's
you
so
could do
awesome,
that.
man.
You could do that too.
Man, that's so great. When did you get started with music? When did you start like really who taught you piano? Walk me through that journey.
Yeah. Okay. So I started playing piano when I was like 6. And
Oh,
and I was never like a big practicer where I would like go home and I would spend, as much as my teacher told me to do, practicing. And I remember I had one of my teachers' name was Becky, another was Cynthia Shaw. So shout out you guys if you're listening. Probably not right now. But anyway, um, yeah, so just playing there, and then I think there was a certain point where I kinda made that bridge between, like, I can learn these songs that are in these sheet books and stuff, and then at the same time, I can also, really sit down and kinda process my emotions and sort of seeing where that goes. And I'll show you I think this song I wrote junior year. This is like the first one. I was like in a really
oh,
self-conscious
baby.
place about this girl. And I was like, does she like me? Does she not? And I'm like feeling insecure about it. And I was like feeling like I was kind of weak on the inside. And she was like sort of kind of pointing that out or,
Oof.
just like, yeah, just I don't know. So anyway, so I wrote this song, which no. I'm gonna play some songs and whatever pops up to my mind, and I might remember how to play them, and I might not.
That's fine. We're here for it.
Oh, there. All right, I don't remember how to play this one right now. Well, it'll if it comes back to us, it'll be the time is right.
It don't matter. It's the whole purpose of we're visibly drinking. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it's
Yeah.
whatever rolls out is what rolls out. By
Yeah.
the way, this is check this out. This is a mug from Historical Park in Bulgaria. Shout out to those guys. They sent us a bunch of
Cool.
merch and they are
Yeah.
partners with us. So if anybody's wondering what the heck this is, it's a Ram mug. So on a side
Nice.
note,
Nice.
dude. So
And
you
and
were
and and here's what
six.
here's what I'll say also. I'm gonna go grab something, and you tell people a little bit more about that mug, and I'll be right back.
Oh yeah, okay. I
All
can
right.
fill this space in with something.
You feel
Big
it.
shot. I'll fill. I'm gonna meet you just in case for now. Go get that beer or whatever you're getting. Hey, if you're listening again, thank you so much, and a big shout out. Now we actually plan for these kinds of pauses just in case because these are long form podcasts, and so sometimes we'll go a couple hours sometimes, and so if you are listening now, big shout out to our friends over at Southwestern Real Estate. Boom. Fantastic folks. Pat Roach is one of our biggest fans. He's listened to every single episode so far. And yeah, they are with us since November. They were one of our first few partners, and they're looking for people to work. So if you are, I've always been a fan of real estate. If you've been kind of getting into that real estate investment type stuff, if you are a fan of HGTV, you're looking for something that has flexible hours, and you want to be able to keep all the healthy aspects of the Southwestern culture that we had when we were going door to door, this would be a place for you. It's 99% drama free. That was the one thing Pat was adamant that we made sure we mentioned on the show, because he's that kind of guy that's super fun to work with and he's easy to work with. So if you guys are interested in something for a career change, if you're looking for something that's flexible and really anywhere in the country, we will definitely get you a setup. Going through us will get you a guaranteed interview with Pat to be able to see if this is a fit for you. More than importantly, it's a place where you can prioritize what matters most, but you can have really, really incredible income at the same time. So thank you, Pat and Southwestern Real Estate, for partnering with us. These guys are a fantastic company to work with. So hit them up or hit us up. We'll get you plugged in with them. So anyway, we're back now. And you're muted. Oh, I muted you. Here, I'll unmute you. There we go.
Perfect.
Boom.
We in?
Yeah. What'd you go
Awesome.
grab? More beer?
Cool. I went and grabbed another. This is a Moknav Haze IPA. Hazy IPA.
Bro, Austin has got the scene for
I know.
IPAs.
I just see it's brewed in Texas. So
yeah,
we're like in
the two best cities for that. Portland and Austin. It's like, if you need craft beer, that's where you go.
Brooklyn's on the come up though. They have some microbreweries popping up. Mm-hmm.
You grew up in Brooklyn. What was that like? What was it like growing up in New York?
It was very, very cool. You get the experience of independence so much earlier. So like middle school, I would go there on the bus by myself. And it's like, I feel like a lot of times until kids, in suburb culture, they're relying on rides from their parents or from people who are over 18. And in Brooklyn, it's like, you can have this like sixth grader just taking the subway or the bus by themselves. And
yeah, that's true.
Anyway, yeah, it's cool. And then I went to high school in Manhattan, and so I would take from downtown Brooklyn where I live. I would take the AC up to LaGuardia it's right near Columbus Circle, like 59th Street. So it's like 45 minutes on the subway, and yeah, just really, really cool. And you would have kids from all over the place. So you'd have kids from like one of my friends, Guy, shout out Guy. He would come from Rockaway, and he had like a 2-hour trip to come to school every day on the subway. So it was just wild. Yeah.
Wow, that's trippy. Yeah, that's new and that's different. We in Nebraska, I grew up in Nebraska, in Grand Island, Nebraska.
Nice.
It's not grand or an island. It's the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't there Nebraska landlocked?
Yeah, not only is it, this is a fun fact for those of you listening, not only is it landlocked, it's triple landlocked, which means,
what does that mean?
It's actually the only territory, state, or country that is triple landlocked. What that means is that if you go in any direction, northeast, southwest, you have to go through 3 other territories or states to get to any major body of water.
Wow.
So like, if you go south, you got to go Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas before you hit the Gulf of Mexico. If you go east or west, obviously to the east and west coast oceans. And then if you go north, you got to go South Dakota, North Dakota, Canada before you hit like some water up north. It's miserable, but people are nice there, and it's cheap to live, and you get a ride to school all the way till you're 16.
You get a ride to school? Oh, the bus?
Oh yeah. You don't get shoved into a subway in 6th grade. That sounds outrageous. That sounds unsafe.
Yeah. Oftentimes the subway would be like 7th grade.
Really
no, dude, it's crazy. You see these little kids who are like 4 feet tall. They've got their little backpacks, just like walking through the middle of like Midtown Manhattan or something. And it's like they're just on their way to school, and you're like, is there like a chaperone? This is wild.
Get out of my I know my stop. Get out of here.
Yeah, and they
wonder why Home Alone was an issue.
Yeah, that's because he didn't live in New York.
Idiot.
Yeah. Well, actually, yeah.
I mean, most of the kids from New York watching Home Alone would have been like,
bro. Yeah. I just call my friends, and they'll hop on the subway and come over here and help me.
That's so funny, bro. That's so cool. And then, all right, so let's jump into some Southwestern stuff. How did you get into Southwestern? So you're in Brooklyn. You go to school in Manhattan.
Yeah. So at this point, I go to Ole Miss. So I went from basically one side of the world to the other side of the world.
Wow.
at LaGuardia, people had like purple hair dancing on the lunch tables. If you've seen the movie Fame, like that's about LaGuardia, and it's just like super free and open and all the stuff. And then I go to Ole Miss, and I had some family down there. I joined a fraternity, and it's like 200 all white people, and I was never used to, New York is so diverse, and it was a real culture shock, a real adjustment. And then I ended up, I made some friends, like a lot of Louisiana friends, Christian, Jimmy, Garrett, Tripp, and yeah, and New Orleans has a really cool culture, like really rich. So anyway, and I went to 4 Mardi Gras in a row, so a lot of fun down there.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I'm doing my mechanical engineering stuff throughout college, and one of my best friends, Christian Gamble, he tells me about basically his dad had done this door-to-door book sales internship. So while I went off to my engineering internship, he went off to door-to-door book sales. And he would call me at some points during the summer, and I was kind of working like 9 to 5 internship engineering, and he'd be like, dude, it's so crazy. Like, I can't even explain, but like all this stuff's going on. And it was just like felt like he was going through so much, like a whole world of just like I had no idea what was going on. And we both come back senior year, and it's like I could tell he has grown and he has changed a whole lot more than I had during that internship that I did, the engineering internship. So, I kind of express interest on that. I'm pretty easy to, I'm pretty open-minded, pretty easy to be sold on things. And, we talked about it for a little while, and then Jake Chesney, great dude. He was coming to Ole Miss, and he was working on this dream to start his own. He had sold books back in the past, and he was working on a dream after taking some time off to restart and, start building up team, training people, that kind of thing. So he was working under Virgie Sanford. And anyway, he came, did some intros, and, I was like, this could be a cool thing. I was turning down I had a job offer from Exxon right after college. And then I was going to go do, music and that kind of thing. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to do this. This is like a cool way to go be independent. And I didn't really know what I was getting in. And man, it was just such a cool experience, especially my first summer. I sort of always had the experience, like, self-consciousness, like confident on the surface. Meanwhile, like inside, I don't think I'm good enough. And it's like, I was always someone with potential. And it's like a lot of potential. And then like, I would kind of fall out of it. And, for me, the first summer was like such an experience where, like, so I started off, I had a trip to Ecuador that was previously planned with Engineers Without Borders. So I came like a week late. I did that in between sales school and my first week there. And then I joined the people on the book field, and I go out and I'm like, all right, like, let's go. Little, like super positive. And I go out and I have a really good first week, apparently. I remember on my first day, Jake Chesney, he called me at the end of the day, and I was like, man, I don't know if this is for me. I'm just, I don't know, man. And then I'm like, and he's like, oh, really? Oh, okay. What happened? What's going on? And I was like, no, I'm kidding. I sold like 45 units, or 50 or something. Yeah, it was a good day. I'm just like, I don't know. I still got to figure out my turf. I don't really know where I'm going. And yeah, I just found some super cool homeschool family who was like, oh, we bought these kids' books in the past. We'd love these ones. So, and I'm there like figuring out, I'm like, you guys are my first order. I don't actually like, I'm still figuring this out. So anyway, and I ended up having like, Jake said at the end of the week, he was like, dude, that was like your first week beat my first week. And I was like one of the top rookies. So like, you're on pace to have an incredible summer. And I was like, and then I was like, oh no. because all of a sudden, like the pressure is on. And it's like, I've noticed like I could do this in my life in a lot of ways, where it's like, when I'm not thinking about it, I'm just having fun. It's like, everything's great. And then I start like getting some recognition or feedback or something. And I'm like, then I put the pressure on, and it's not about just running around meeting families and that kind of thing anymore. Yeah. So anyway, the next week I went down, and it was really like an up and down every week. And, there was like, yeah, I would just get like recognition at a Sunday meeting, and I would be like so fueled of dopamine. And then just like the next week be like, frightened. And so, I'll tell you, so at the end, I kind of, the hero's journey, where it's like basically a lot of these stories, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, the Iliad, that kind of thing, they follow this certain journey where it's, or even watch like a boxing match, right? Someone goes in and it's like, I haven't seen Rocky recently, so I don't remember, but I think this is like probably what happens, where basically the hero, they start doing well and they're like, boom, boom, boom. And then they start getting beat up. And then like at the end, they pull off the final victory and it's like, they win. And for me, it's like, to some degree, I was always in question of like, if I would have that final victory. And I give so much credit to Anna Dunn, because she came in like a few weeks after the start of the summer, and she was so grounded and so just, into her faith, and had such an impact on me. We would have these long PCs and she would just like clear the space, and just like I could have that feeling of love and grace just so much from her. And it made such a difference, like as I'm battling with my mind and whatever thoughts and stories I'm making up in my head, having that to kind of clear myself. So anyway, we ended up doing well, finishing the summer. I can talk more about that later. And learned a lot.
That's fine. Yeah, dude. And the reason I ask is because I'd be curious to see, like, do you think that experience shaped you as a musician? Like, or what ways do you think that it helped you kind of with either the writing process or the business side of the music side of the music life? How did that like connect?
Yeah, I think so. I think part of the thing is like I do these, things like Southwestern Advantage. I'm also doing some programs with Landmark that some Southwestern Advantage people actually referred me to. And I sort of forget like what came from where, like what did I learn from here versus there, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I know, it's crazy. Like I remember coming home after my first summer, and my ability to listen to people and just like actually just like sit there and just be present for what they're saying was just totally different. And I remember I had a conversation with my brother at one point after, and he was like opening up, and he was like, I feel like our relationship has changed recently, where it feels like you listen and like you're present. And that was just so powerful for me.
Whoa.
So yeah.
That's a compliment from someone like that in your life, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think just overall communication skills and and just the ability to listen. And then when it comes to, I think one of the biggest things with the book field is like you're on your own out there, and it's like whatever comes up, whatever happens, how are you going to manage that? And self-talk, positive affirmations, just so much that like Southwestern Advantage is like crash course Navy SEALs for just like being a competent, productive, successful, independent person. And so just like learning all those lessons. And then, as I'm working on my music, or it's like, I was driving down the highway the other day and I was like, I'm just feeling weird. Like, I don't know, like what's going on inside my head. And so it's like, I remember doing self-talk on the book fields. And so I was like, all right, David, what's going on, buddy? What's going on? Like, what's missing? As Eckhart Tolle, Shane Blick was like, talked about the power of now. And I read that the first page, I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so anyway, just like talking to yourself, like what's missing from this moment? And a lot of times the answer is nothing.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And so anyway, just the ability.
I'm vibing with this.
See, I was like, what's missing from this moment? Because there's one part of me that's like excited to be on the podcast and like, all right, yeah, we're gonna have a good time. And there's another part of me that like, oh, I hope I do a good job. I hope people watch this, they get something out of it, they like me, all this kind of thing. And that's just like stuff in the head. It's kind of made up. And it's like, what's really missing from this moment?
Right.
Yeah. Nothing.
It's nothing. It's the idea, well, like the power of now, and that is something that you do definitely learn when you go door to door. That's a big key factor in success, is in general, not just in selling books, but in whether in your music life or in life in general, is the ability to just put aside all the bullshit. Like the world is engineered currently more than ever to just take your attention and to
Oh my
take
gosh.
away where you are. There was a quote, it's like, be where your feet are, right?
Mm,
Like, be here. Right now there's a pandemic going on, and we got bills to pay, and you got music to write, and I got stuff to do. But one of the things that from what I'm hearing you say is, like, you learn how to be here right now. The most important person in the world to me is
yeah.
you,
Yeah.
right? And I have to make it that way, because then not only is that good for me and my health, my mental state, but also
Yeah.
to make you feel understood, to make you feel be heard,
Mm-hmm.
and to generate a more genuine connection between the two of us, that ends up by default, as a result of it,
Yeah.
you know producing good content for this podcast, or producing a good experience that maybe you could go write a song about, from a feeling
Mm-hmm.
of being in the present, which is
Yeah.
kind of what you were talking about, that sooner or later is kind of about, is
Yeah.
like, this
Yeah.
is what this moment is about, which
Yeah.
is just kind of brilliant how it all kind of
Yeah.
ties back
Yeah. Boop,
together.
boop. Yeah. 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 And it is like, we may one day have like, an amazing podcast episode and think about all this stuff, but we'll never have this moment again.
Right.
Right here
Yeah.
of us talking.
Yeah.
And
And
I
we're go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I really got that of like, right now, I'm the most important person in the world. And as you were saying that, I was like, okay, yeah, all those other thoughts, like Andres is the most important person in the world. And we're having that. And it's like, how can I support you? How can you support me? And that's
Yeah.
just like a cool way to live life.
Yeah, and we all have that friend that, like, or at least have met that person that made you just feel seen
Yeah.
and heard. And that's what
Hmm.
they did, is they just looked at you, and it's almost like, there was an advanced sales tape with Bill Zizzy in the
Hmm.
book field that was talking about, like, you have to be so present that if a freight train is coming
Yeah.
next through the living room as you're talking to this person, you wouldn't even notice it, because you were
Yep.
just so true, not for yourself, but for that other person, genuinely, like, invested in them and what they are trying to
Right.
tell you, and what their pain is, and how you can help them through that pain, whether that be through music or that be through comedy,
Hmm.
right? And that's what makes you good at it. And I think
Yeah.
I think you definitely, when you say that that's one of the things you learned, I can totally
Yeah.
see it, because I
Yeah.
feel that way currently.
Hmm.
Good job, dude.
Yeah. Thank you. And it's give me
Cheers to you.
that cheers right there. Cheers to that. Clink.
Mm, that's
Yeah.
good
And
whiskey.
that's a good beer. Thank you, Colin Clark. That's my cousin. I'm staying at his house. Um, yeah, what I was gonna say about that is, like, also, giving myself credit, where it's like I put so much pressure on myself to be perfect. Of like, I can put pressure on myself. I don't want to speak that into existence. I put so much pressure on myself, but really, it's like, it's like the way people see me, and I think this is true for like just about all of us. The way people see us can be so different than the way we see ourselves.
Mm, mm, mhm.
And yeah, and it's like, yeah. Anyway, so it's like all these goals and dreams and stuff. It's like, yeah, just give yourself credit. Just like whatever you have and whatever you're doing well at and whatever you want to do and whatever you feel like is not accomplished yet, like give yourself credit for that, and like stop and like celebrate your accomplishments so far to that point.
Yeah.
I had a morning meditation the other day, and I had a realization. I was like, I'm trying to do all these things. Meanwhile, like, this is exactly where I'm meant to be. And like, there's nowhere else to get to. Like,
Mhm.
I'm on the road right now. I'm about to do my DJ gig, which was yesterday. I'm about to be on a podcast on Sunday. And yeah, there's nowhere else to get to.
Yeah.
Right here, right
Yeah.
now.
Oh, dude, there's so many good things that you just reminded me of.
Cool.
Have you seen The Matrix? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen the second one? The second Matrix?
Okay, I'll be honest. I don't want to see it again. I don't want to speak this
Oh
into
boy.
existence, but my movie memory, I watch it and it kind of goes pew pew.
Yeah. I
So
feel
I
that.
don't remember in one ear out the other.
Okay.
But
And the second in this, there's a quote in that movie that I think is so, like, profound in its own way, and it kind of relates exactly to what you just said, where they're leaving. It's the second movie. They go see that French dude. If you're listening and you know what I'm talking about, in the Matrix. But
they know.
anyway, yeah, and they go, and they're supposed to get this, like, exchange from him, but it doesn't happen how they wanted it to, how they expected to. So often
Yeah.
that kind of happens in our life, right? And they go back to the elevator, and Neo, who's like the one, and his mentor Morpheus, right? And Neo goes, "Did we do something wrong?" And Morpheus says, no, what happened
Mm.
as it should have happened and couldn't have happened in any other way.
Hmm.
And Neo goes, well, how do you know? He goes, because we're still alive. And to me, that's kind of the key, right? It's like you are where you're supposed to be,
Mm-hmm.
and whether you believe in God or the universe or whatever the heck, like
Mm-hmm.
this is the moment that you're supposed to, like something from this moment is what you're supposed to take notice and what you're supposed to take part of, and you're supposed to take away the best of it. You can look forward in the future and you can look back and be happy of the progress you've made, but at the end of the day, it's here, and it's
Mm-hmm.
now, and you it's okay to be happy
Yeah.
even if it's a bad time, because you've made it this far and you've gone through the hardest thing you've ever been through and you're still alive. And it
Mm-hmm.
happened just how it was supposed to happen because you're still alive.
Mm-hmm.
Dude,
Yeah.
you don't
I
even think of
love that. I love that. And so much of that is like, if we lived life and there were never any conflicts or challenges, it's like, what would be the purpose of life?
Right. Yeah.
And I think that there's so much like the lessons that we learn along the way. And when we go through struggles and we're in a down and we get ourselves out of that, however that happens, and then we can look back. It's like, look back on the people who are on the trail behind us and be like, oh, this way is the path.
Yeah.
Right. Where we can actually teach people and share that experience with them, and they can teach us. And just that growth, it's like all those conflicts and those things we push up against, like we all have something to teach the people behind us. Right. And we have something to learn from the people in front of us. And the people with us.
Yeah. I'm with you. Okay, on that note, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
In terms of like your music career, and as you look forward, are there people that you strive to kind of like, not necessarily be like, but that you like take from, that you take inspiration from? Like who are the artists in your life that kind of influence you to kind of go, hey, that's kind of the North Star, that's where we're headed?
Yeah. That's a great question. So for me, my day one's always been John Mayer. Just like the way our voices can kind of hit in the same register, like John Mayer, and like you could feel that, like, who says I can't get stoned? Call up a girl that I used to know. Fake love for an hour or so. Who says I can't get stoned? Been a long night in New York City. Been a long night in Austin too. I don't remember you looking any better, but then again, I don't remember you. So just the way he expresses things, like I could really feel it. Yeah. And its music is so interesting because, and I find this just fascinating. It's like when I share a song with someone, some people connect with the lyrics, some people connect with the melody, some people connect with the chords and instrumentation, and everyone perceives it differently from a different angle. And I think something about John Mayer is his stuff, it's just like the quality is so good in all the directions. So his lyrics are good, how heartfelt his delivery is good, his production's good. And so, yeah, so he's a big inspiration there. And I feel like I learned how to sing and stuff with him. It's like, it'd be like if I'm ever feeling like really down and I'm like, oh man, I'll put on some John Mayer. Just like really sing along and just really feel it. And it's like, what I would say is I feel like our souls are like a very similar color. So that's kind of what the sort of like soul that I want to have in my music there. Anyway, so and then there are other people, like John Mayer's like one type, and then there's John Bellion, who he made that song All Time Low. Low, 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 low. You know the song? Low, 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 low. I was the knight in shining armor in your movie. Yeah, and he's from Long Island, so he's got this like cool production. He's inspired by Jay Dilla, so like with the drums, like like not on the grid, and then like he'll just have songs, and he'll have like a random like ow in the background, and it's like I'm totally about that. So I feel like I get kind of some of that like spunkiness and funness, and there's like a certain New York edge to it that's like, there's like a certain urban grungy type like way of being that he kind of encompasses in his music. So there's that. And then, Kanye West, who's an inspiration to John Bellion, right? We go up the train a little bit. But Kanye has these like big productions with like boom. I feel like
Yeah.
John Bellion's song Hand of God, it's just a beautiful, like, masterpiece work of art that finishes one of his most recent albums. He won a lot of awards for it. And what he does is, like, he's got a choir in there. It's the same choir that sung Michael Jackson, Man in the Mirror. Yeah. So it's like a really, really cool choir. He ties together all the songs, all that kind of thing. And just these big masterpieces. So what I'm kind of about is sort of, having something that can be like kind of intimate, like sooner or later I'll be living on my own, right? Like that kind of thing. And then at the same time, I'm working on the outro for my album, which is like gonna which I came up with on the book fields. The first idea, I could pull up that voice memo and be like, dum, dum, dum. And I'm driving around, you can hear my car whirring in the back because I had like a fan that was like kind of broken. And I'm like straight up just like coming up with stuff as I'm driving around, like looking for the next house to knock on. And anyway, so for that song, I want to have like horns and like, live horns and just like big, big kind of stuff. Yeah. So those are a few influences and kind of like the way I sort of see their music and kind of feel that.
Yeah.
That.
That's dope. That's really cool. Are you going more like the indie route, like independent recording artist route? Now that, I mean, it seems like it's easier to do it, not easy, but easier to do it nowadays, and instead of going to a label, or what's kind of like the plan strategically though?
Well, here's the thing is like, it's crazy when you look at it, like the model of how things have worked is like labels own like 90% of your music.
Right.
And sometimes, sometimes it works where an artist is like a hired gun. They'll be like, all right, come in and sing this song. And they'll have like one studio session. They'll come in, they'll sing it. And that's the voice you hear on the record. And you're like, oh, that's like their song. Meanwhile, you had other people write it and they just maybe spent a day for that. And then you have other people who come up, like someone like Kanye West. He's a good example of it. They come up, like the amount of creative output that actually goes into that is so misaligned from the ownership of the actual songs. So it just doesn't make sense. And dude, we're living in the golden age for music creation. Like $200, you can get Logic Pro on your computer. And even without that, these iPhones, if you have an iPhone, I'm sure there's another equivalent if you don't have an iPhone, but like GarageBand, I'll still use that. Like I'll just like hum in there, like doom, boom, doom, boom, doom, boom, 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 and then I'll put a and then I'll just like layer up stuff there. So just the amount of freedom we have at our fingertips. And like right now, I got my piano plugged into here, and I got my microphone, and we can do so much nowadays. And it's definitely kind of the longer route. Back, I remember I used to be like, oh, I hope, like I would just want to get discovered like Justin Bieber. And then it's like, boom, you're at the top. Like all the work is done. And, at the same time, like that's well and good. Meanwhile, it's like, if you take that, right, it's like right now I'm like riding kind of an easy slope and I'm like, and things are improving. And it's like, I'm getting good feedback and all that sort of thing. And as, more things happen and more pressure comes, I can be ready for it. And I'm like getting prepared, that sort of thing. When you have someone like Justin Bieber, who's going to go from shoo, shoo, right there, it's like the amount of pressure, the amount of stress, the amount of people that want stuff from you and just like take and just like vultures around you. It can be so taxing on the soul, on like someone's actual being. And you look at all these artists who like, commit suicide or die at 27 and so many, child stars. It's like, it's like those are the sacrifices of our society that they just like put up here, like here, enjoy them while they're on this Nickelodeon special. And then they have no support on the other side or very little. And their life just crumbles after the fact. So, it's a very sad thing that our society does is like use up souls and kind of crushes them and throws them to the side. And I think we're, in general, this is like zooming out a little bit, but I feel like as a species and as a human race, we are getting to a more spiritually connected, enlightened kind of sense where it's like, that just doesn't work. And, for that to happen and like Justin Bieber, I love like a lot of his music. He has really good people that he works with. And it's really incredible to see, how he's been through everything he's been through from that child star. And now he's come out on the other side, and he's talking about his faith and God, and he's got a marriage to, you know, a beautiful wife that he loves very much. And he's on that other side. And I think it's such an amazing, like, I'll look at his Instagram and he'll post like these, like, you know, these quotes and stuff like God loves you no matter what's going on. And for the fact of all those people who were on that journey from him, never say never, you know, on all the, on all that,
Back
right?
in the
To
day.
follow him through that. Yeah. To follow him through and be on the other side of like you are worth it. God loves you, you know, and if it's not God, it's universe, like, right. Or yourself, your being, whatever it is. I feel like that's not the important part. And yeah, so it's just cool to kind of see where people have been. And I think we're facing we're in a new realm where it's like, as new stars and new people are coming to the table, you know, there's a different way of doing things. The internet is like the greatest equalizer, where if you're acting like selfish or you're taking advantage of artists or anyone in life, like that's what Twitter's doing over there. And sometimes maybe it goes too far, or, you know, whatever. But just the fact of how it's been so easy to hide corruption in the past, and now everything's kind of out in the open there.
Right.
So, yeah.
And it's the internet has made it so that artists in general. So this kind of reminds me of what you were saying. So I published a book. So this is my book. I was
Oh, look at that right there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congrats,
I'm
dude.
from Colombia, and my family was gonna get murdered, and so we had to move. That's why we ended up in
What?
Nebraska. Yeah.
Oh my
That's a whole.
gosh.
We could talk about that story.
Yeah,
in the
I
show
want
if
to
you
hear
want.
that.
So we haven't talked about that yet, but I still
All
want to hear
right.
about your stuff. But anyway, but the only point I'm making is I worked with this company called Self-Publishing School.
Okay.
And there's the point I'm trying to make is the internet not only is a great equalizer because of your ability to be discovered, like really, if you it makes it so talent will out, right? Like that's how Ed Sheeran got famous because he had to like go perform in the street, and then he got a one-way ticket to come perform in LA. Jamie Foxx happened to be there, and then he like saw him, like, and that's kind of how he, right? But Justin Bieber or Shawn Mendes, TikTok.
Maybe.
Or not TikTok,
Vine. Shawn
Vine,
Mendes is
right?
Vine, yeah.
R.I.P. Vine, right? So, but like, look at that. Like, that's someone who, because his talent was just so obvious that you just can't deny that from just kind of rising to the top. And that doesn't mean that if you're not discovered, you're not talented. It just means that it gives you that a better playing field than just to have to go through a record label. In the same way, the internet is also the greatest equalizer, because if you want to run a podcast, like, you can go and find YouTube videos of people who run podcasts that you can learn from. You can learn how to write music and use GarageBand on YouTube, right? Like, all the information is really out there. There's just not enough readers, because people would rather watch The Bachelorette and find out if that guy's gonna get the rose or whatever the fuck it is that people pay attention to, or dumb shit that nobody really cares about. Sorry for cussing. And it's whatever. It's uncensored. But the point is,
all good.
the point is, this was written and published because I found Self-Publishing School, and they taught me how to publish a book. And it's on Amazon, and it's out, and I was like, and it did really well. And so I'm not a millionaire from it, but I was able to still produce my art to the world because of the internet. Like 20 years ago, I couldn't have done this, right? And so it's not about being the best. I don't necessarily want to be J.K. Rowling, right? But it allowed me to express my art form in a way that was unheard of 20 years ago. And so in the same way, music, like, you can post to Apple Music. Like, you can be in a playlist with Ed Sheeran, John Mayer, and then you. Like, that's a playlist. That's my playlist, right? And that's gonna be a playlist for a lot of people.
Post it on the Instagram.
That's right. I'll post it on the Instagram. But what you're seeing is what is spot on. It's allowed people to not only, in a third way is to congregate. Your fans can also live on the internet, right? Your fans can still, they can turn in and watch the show, right? Sarah Maddock was on the show back in December, right? There's another example. She did a little rap about a slug on a rug, got millions of views on TikTok, and now she's like producing music. And that's so cool. Like, so that's a good point, that the internet is, I like that. The internet is like the great equalizer. It made it so people could find their way if they really wanted to, if they wanted to work hard enough for it, like you're doing. So
Yeah.
good quote, good stuff.
Yeah, thanks. That sort of makes me think of like it brings the overvalued back down and it brings the undervalued back up.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
At some point, I want to hear this recording of this voice memo on the book field.
Oh yeah, dude. We could sometime when I go to the bathroom or get a beer or something, I can I'll see if we can find it. I'll put my
See,
microphone up to
see if you
the
could. That's so
They're
funny.
not glamorous at all. It's like dum, 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 you know.
That's hilarious. That's so
Yeah.
funny. Epic, man.
Okay,
Yeah.
so all right, so you came from Colombia to Nebraska. Your family was
Yeah.
being threatened. The cost of
Mhm.
citizenship, a family's battle against persecution and sacrifices for freedom. So I assume that's your family. So so what is that? That's
Yeah. Actually, I really haven't talked. I've alluded to it a lot on the show, but I haven't really told the story. So, yeah, I'll just kind of talk about it. Feel free to interrupt at any point
all
as you
right.
think of stuff. But
Objection.
yes, just like that. Just go bing. Hey. Yeah, where do I even begin? So Colombia,
Okay.
Colombia, is actually being put on the map even more so now for its good things because of the movie Encanto
Okay.
that just came out from Disney. But that's where I'm from, and it sits right here on the northern tip of South America.
How convenient
And
do you have these posters behind you?
right, it's just working. It's working. I even have it. I have tattooed also on my arm,
Yeah.
just in case I get lost. It's right
Right.
there.
Yeah, the tank top, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm right here. No, yeah. So it's been at war for a long time, or
Yeah.
was at least. And long story short, my dad owned a construction company or construction material company. So
Mhm.
it was like a quarry.
Yeah.
So he blew up like rock, produced brick and
Mhm.
sand for materials for building.
Yeah.
It was up in the mountains in the city of Bogota, further up the city of Bogota, and then further up even was a strategic army base. The good
Huh.
guys, we'll just call it good guys. It's a
Okay.
government base,
Sure.
but the government's corrupt, so we'll just call them the good guys
Yeah.
because the FARC, which were like Colombian ISIS, so instead of
Uh-huh.
religious, they were communist.
Yeah.
And in the 90s, ooh, commies. And so
Yeah.
that was a big deal. They wanted to take over and establish Colombia as a communist state. So
Yeah.
that was kind of the whole background story. So where that interacts with my life is an army base got attacked by FARC,
Mhm.
and they came and asked my dad to see if they could help rebuild the base. They survived the attack, but they were weakened, and so they were like, "Hey, help us out." My dad did so because he
Yeah.
believed in not communism, and
Right.
so because of that, FARC were like, nah, and
Yeah.
so they found us. They gun to my dad's head, the whole thing.
What?
And they wanted to hire him instead to work for them. And
Oh.
so he was like, sure. And then they let us go. But then we were like, nah.
Yeah.
And we ran. And so we ended up we got tourist visas and we ended up coming in. My dad came first in March of 2000. And then we came in July of 2000, so a few months later. And yeah, we moved. We were like, we need to go get away from life. We need to get away from people who might. We had. My mom had like a uncle twice removed or something like or whatever, however you say that, distant family. Their son ran track in Kearney, Nebraska. And so when we asked them, where do you know in the United States that we can go to hide out where there's like nothing? They're like,
Yeah.
we got just the place.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of Nebraska? And
Yeah.
so yeah, we moved to Grand Island, as I mentioned before. So 40 million, or sorry, 9 million people, mountainous, good food, amazing culture, Colombia,
Huh.
to 40,000 people in rural Grand Island, Nebraska.
Wow.
So I was 7. My
Yeah.
brother Danny, you probably know from Southwestern, he was 4, and our other brother hadn't been born yet.
Mhm.
And that's how we started. We had no family, no money, no culture, no language, nothing, nothing. And yeah, from there. It was just a classic, pick yourself up by the bootstrap story of work hard, put your head down. We lived illegally because we came as tourists, and tourist
Mhm.
visas are only good for 6 months, but we weren't going to go back. So one-way ticket on a tourist visa. In fact,
Yeah.
that was going to be the subtitle of the book instead, a one-way ticket on a tourist visa, which means we weren't going home.
Yeah.
And so after the 6 months were up, we were living undocumented. We were not legally living here.
Yeah.
But found a lawyer, and then we started going through the process of political asylum, which is
Mhm.
essentially, hey, we can't go back because we're going to die. So is there
Yeah.
any way that we could stay here? Now, as a kid, and this is in the book, so this is like the sizzle of the book, but as a
Mhm.
kid, our parents, I always prided myself, and I still do, because my parents were very honest, very transparent with us. So
Mhm.
my dad said, hey, look, we're gonna, some bad guys want to hurt us, we have to move, we have to leave
Yeah.
here, but where we're gonna go see Mickey. And because that's what
Mhm.
we believed, as a kid in Colombia, that's what America was like. This America,
Like
like
Mickey Mouse. Okay, yeah.
fucking Mickey Mouse, right?
Yeah.
Which is where this comes from, but we'll get to that. So
Oh, wow.
so so my parents were like, we're gonna see Mickey, we're gonna go see Mickey, we're gonna go see Mickey. And we moved here, and we never went and saw Mickey.
Oh, no.
And so everything else in my life, my parents had told me the truth about, but this, we never saw Mickey. And
Hmm.
then in 2012, November 6th, 2012, that's what the date is here
Yeah.
on my arm. I got my citizenship. I got a blue passport.
Oh,
And that's why the
wow.
cover of the book is blue. It's
Huh.
kind of cut off here, but you can see
Yeah.
it's blue. It's a cover of a passport. It's what that is.
Yeah.
And the reason that's significant is when we moved here, my mom told us we saw people with little blue passports at the airport,
Yeah.
and we had little brown ones. They were brown like me, and the blue
Yeah.
passports
Huh.
were like not. I was like, how come theirs are blue? And she was like, because they're from here. And I go, I want a blue one. And my mom said, everybody wants a blue one. And I just
Wow.
thought that was super like deep to say that
Yeah.
everybody wants a blue passport, right? Everybody wants to come here and have this opportunity. And anyway, so we became citizens in November. And then that Christmas of 2012, we went to Disney.
Mm.
And my parents never lied.
Mm.
We went to, and that kind of like meant that we had made it. And so
Mm.
then it's, yeah, so the story kind of tells all the details of what happened, and like all the nitty gritty of that. But yeah, that's the book, The Cost of Citizenship, because of all the things we had to give up to be here and
Wow.
like to survive. Yeah.
That's
There
so
you go.
wild. That's
Yeah.
crazy. So you had this whole journey, and you're 7 years old, and you're coming to America and going through all this. And so with that, and that's just like, yeah, that's crazy. I can only imagine. What made you want to put it all into a book?
Oh, great question. Thanks. I feel like this is a good conversation. I appreciate you
Yeah, yeah,
asking. Thank you so much.
absolutely.
Hopefully people like are still with us. But yeah.
After that story, yes.
Yeah, the book. So growing up in Nebraska, there was a lot of friends. So Nebraska is very big on agriculture. The
Mhm.
reason I'm saying all this is because there's a lot of Mexican people, or at least Central American, Mexican, Guatemalan, Central American people that come to Nebraska to work.
Huh.
A lot of the
Yeah.
like migrant workers,
Yeah.
and their kids went to school with me. So I grew up in like my high school was like 40% Hispanic.
Wow.
Yeah, and a lot of like very few Colombians, a lot of Mexicans. And so
Yeah.
I would always ask them like, hey, so how'd you, some of them were like third, fourth generation, because their great grandparents came and
Mhm.
started working, and now they were like, they had kind of established themselves here. But I would ask a lot of them like, hey, how did you, because here's my story, like we were gonna get murdered,
Yeah,
how did your
yeah.
parents end up here, like what happened to you guys? And a lot of them were like, I don't know,
Huh.
we've been in Grand Island for 40 years or 50 years, I don't know.
Yeah.
I would ask my white friends who had like German grandparents,
Mhm.
like the white people on the other side, they also worked like German
Yeah.
or some sort of Eastern Europe or Western Europe, and they wouldn't know. And I remember thinking
Hmm.
a long time ago, I'm
Wow.
like, there is no way
Huh.
in hell that my kids or my kids'
Whoa.
will ever get asked that question and not know the sacrifice that my parents did and went through in order for them to be here, right? So my
Hmm.
brother Danny, for example, just had a baby this last year, or this year, yeah, in May last year. And like for me, I'm like, you're gonna read this book, you're gonna know,
Yeah.
like if nobody else buys it, if nobody else ever
Right.
reads it, I don't care, but you're gonna know. You're gonna know what my mom and my dad did for you to have the life that you have now,
Wow.
so you could grow up here and have this opportunity to live in
Hmm.
this country, good or bad. Like people talk about like, Republican, Democrat, the political stuff
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Like at the end
Right.
of the day, it's still great to live here. I'm
Yeah.
able to pay my bills because I'm
Yeah.
talking to strangers on there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? That's an opportunity you can't really find anywhere else. And so for him to know, like, if he reads it, I at least want them to know this is what we had to go through for you to be here. And that really drove it a lot of the way. I wanted to honor my parents because they went through so much. And that's really what the book is about. It's not really about me. It's about what they did and how, and from my eyes, what I remember them going through. So, yeah.
That's so cool to have a firsthand witness of that. And like, obviously you were so a part of it. And I think about like my ancestors, and I know, like, I'm a quarter Lebanese, and I know I have people who, one of my uncles, he was going to be on the Titanic, and then like he missed the boat, right? He missed the boat. It's like, distant relative. And just the fact of like, we have all these stories, and that's crazy that you share that, because I've thought about this, is like our relatives, like, and especially with America, like we have such an immigrant history of people coming from all over the world to be in America. And the fact is, like, now here we are, like, Americans walking around like heads in our phones, and we have no idea like how we actually got here.
No, that's true. And people don't, I mean, it's interesting that happens, right? That because that's exactly, there's nobody here that can say that their great grandpa, like, they don't, like, if you live in like Europe, in England or something, you can say, yeah, my family actually was here since like the 1200s or something.
Wow.
You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah,
you can't do that here. Like, the furthest back you can maybe go is like 1600 something, 1700 something.
Yeah.
And that's like most people, if you go 2 generations up, they're not from here.
Yeah.
And nobody seems to remember that.
Yeah. Like, what's up with that?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
wild.
And I love that. And I love that is now that, like, for however long, your kids, grandkids, if you plan on having any, or Danny's kids, whatever, they'll have that reminder. So like, 3 generations later, they can read that book and see it.
Right. And I should say, like, it's interesting too, because there's like some a lot of the things that I talk about, or that I think about now, is just like that culture shock, right? Because I'm not really Colombian anymore either. I went back home. I went back in 2015, so 3 years after I became a citizen, and I felt out of place.
Really?
Not entirely. Like, I knew the food, and I can dance salsa and all that shit. I can speak Spanish,
Yeah.
right? So I felt a home in those ways, but also like the mentality that people have down there, is still very much Colombian, which in some ways isn't good. And it's not as good as that mentality. Like, for example, over there, it's if you tell people, yeah, I'm going to run a podcast and that's how I'm going to pay for my life, they're like, no, you're not. You better go get a job. Whereas here, I say that and people go, oh, cool. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you're going to be a musician,
right?
What are you, stupid?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Whereas here, it's like, yeah, go for it. You can go. It might be hard, but you can do it. Yeah, it's different. And then I come here and it's like, oh, I also don't really belong fully here either. So it's a weird vibe.
Yeah. I was thinking about, and I could see like kind of having like one foot in both worlds. And I was thinking also about, I think I heard this on a podcast recently, but like America, when you really think about it, you zoom out, it's like America is the dreamers, the entrepreneurs, the people who are like, yo, that life wasn't good enough. Like, we heard there's this new place called Nebraska, and we can make a better life, and or wherever they ended up. And that's been embedded within our culture, whether we realize it or not, or feel it or not, of like, these are the people and descendants of the people that were like, yo, we're going to start a new thing. We're going to start a new life, and we're going to like create this dream, which is very cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's cool. It's a weird, it's a privilege in a way to be not from here.
Yeah.
And also a privilege to be accepted.
So
I got 2 passports. I got a brown one and a blue one. And that feels oddly special for some reason, that I feel like there's a responsibility to kind of remember the brown and remember the blue, and it's odd. It's an odd place to be, but enough that it drives me emotionally to write a whole book. So
helps push you. Nice.
Yeah, bro. That's cool. Yeah, for sure. Cheers to that.
Cheers to that. So, and here's what I'm thinking. I've got a song called "Looking for Me," and
let's do it.
I'm pretty sure I'm gonna remember how to play it. Yeah.
If not, improv it. This is called "Looking for Me."
Yeah. So it's called Looking for Me, and then I'm gonna go to the bathroom. And right now though, so I was in New York during 2021, and obviously with the COVID and everything going on there, and I just felt like I was living in my parents' house, which was a great place to be, and very grateful for them for that. And then at the same time, just there's something about like being on my own and being on the road and looking for new possibilities and that kind of thing. So I spent some time during the summer of 2021. I lived with a couple different friends on the New Jersey shore, at like beach houses, working on music. And then, anyway, then I decided to move down to Austin. I was thinking about Nashville for a little while, and then I decided for Austin.
Mm-hmm.
And then this song is about me looking for those new places. We've been together for so long, but have we grown apart? Was hoping you'd give me another song, but baby, it's gotten hard. I'm feeling trapped and controlled by the way you box me in. I've got stories left untold, 'cause your friends couldn't handle them. There's a lot on my mind, and I'm starting to find that these concrete walls where I spent my time keeping light from the halls of my soul, and I am looking to break away. So I'm starting to drive, ain't wasting no time, gotta make an escape while my body's mine. I'm looking for change, don't know what I'll find, but I'm ready to make some waves. I'm looking for love out on the ocean, peace out on the sea. I find my life in constant motion, let it wash on over me. I'm looking for freedom on the highway, hope out on the road. I'm looking for me, I'll do it my way, still searching for my home. I'm looking for love, I'm looking for peace, I'm looking for hope, I'm looking for me, I'm looking for love. So that's just a little first verse and chorus.
Yeah,
Yeah,
bro.
you like it?
Dude, this is like straight up. So for people listening, and if you don't know, this is completely unedited, on like raw, straight into just a microphone, uploaded to the internet, and you sound great.
Yes.
Like that's live. That's dope. You got some skill, bro. You got
Thank you,
some real
bro.
skill.
Yeah, and that's hype. So for like the hour before we got on air, I was gonna have my AirPods in and me playing and like all the audio coming from that. And Danny was like, "Well," Andres was like, "Well, that's like a good second option there." And so I ran around, rushed around, got my mic, got my audio interface and the piano, and like now we have direct line in for you guys to hear. And I'm so glad it sounds good.
Yeah, it's working. It's working out well, brother. This is awesome.
Thank you.
So, do you
Thank
need
you,
a
sir.
bathroom break? Is that what
Yes.
that
Yeah,
was?
I'm gonna run
Okay.
that.
In the meantime, I'm going to talk about one of our partners, and of course, this is so fun. It's a privilege to talk about Will Metcher. Will Metcher, if you're listening, buddy, hello. His was birthday yesterday. Everybody text Will Metcher happy birthday if you have his number. If you don't, go find him on LinkedIn or whatever. But basically, Will is coaching us and the team here at the Ponytails Podcast to suck less, because Will helps people suck less. So if he's working with Southwestern Consulting, where he can help you figure out how to improve your day-to-day productivity at work, as well as just kind of coach you through some of the other aspects that might be hindering you from being a top or performing at your best. And so Will is going to help you provide structure and perspective on a lot of things in your life. I personally can say that I was impacted even from just the one lesson we've had so far. We meet bi-weekly, and it's so fun to just kind of get perspective from someone who's been there, who's done it, who's succeeded, and is currently succeeding and kicking ass at life, to help you succeed a little bit more. So if you are in either two boats, one, if you are looking for somebody to kind of help you stay accountable, and that's really the key to things in life, is just have someone to kind of hold you accountable. Um, that's a great place to start. Let us know. We can hook you up with Will, so he can coach you personally, one-on-one. Or on the other hand, if you think that you're kicking ass at life and you would like to share some of that success and some of that wisdom with other folks, Will is looking for someone to work with him to help change people's lives. And so um, let us know. We will definitely help you find your way to him, and we can connect you one-on-one with Will Metcher. And so on that note, back to David Thomas, who is back from the little boys' room.
Yeah. It's a big boys' room now.
the big boys, big boys.
It
Dude,
used to be
the
a little
bathroom
boys' room.
breaks are excellent for ads.
They really are,
Bro,
yeah.
yeah. They just really work because it's just like right the right amount of time.
Fantastic.
And we're dude, this is so cool. We are so thankful for the people that really sponsor us and that help us put this together because it makes it so I can do this full time, and I really do appreciate it. So if you guys are fans of this so far, make sure you guys find us on Patreon. Go find us and support. Best thing you can do is just share the episode, or if you don't want to support us financially, just like and share stuff. That goes a long way. And so we can that way we can bring you more amazing guests like our boy David Thomas right here, who is gracing us with that with his voice and his presence, his buttery voice, which is really legit. So that's epic, man. Yeah, I wanted to ask you a little bit as far as like, because we talked a little bit about like the people that you're chasing and what you're working on, but overall, do you have like a set rate that you normally go for when it comes to like your music? As in, like, what I mean by that is like, do you have a target of like, I'm going to produce an album every year or once every 2 years, or what's kind of the strategy for you, and where do you see yourself like kind of going with this next year, a couple of years down the line?
So yeah, good question. So basically in 2020 in quarantine, I put out my first single, which was Just Hold On. This is in the midst of, I'll play a little thing as we go. This is about, COVID and quarantine. I was thinking about my grandparents and I was like, man, like just hold on. And so we had, and this is on Spotify. So this is the first song that I put out. I miss the softness of a touch, the sound of an hour rush. I miss the days when I'm away and I come back slightly changed. I miss the drinks with all my friends, the birthdays, weddings, and the produce aisle with no mask and the last rep on the squat rack. It's been a month we've been inside, our patience really running dry. I feel the pressure build inside. We walk the line of sanity, may fear our dreams are sanitized, may drink away the painful times. We can display unstable minds, but with our strength we will survive. I know some things are never said, but are you hanging by a thread? We'll be together when this ends, so just hold on. I know it's been a painful ride. Don't matter if we're trapped inside. We'll break the walls that hold us down, so just hold on. I know we're counting down the days, may fear our loved ones in the grave, but we're still together, yes we are, so just hold on. So let's send out a love, we'll say a prayer to what's above, and we'll be together when this ends, so just hold on. Anyway, and then it goes on. If you want to hear the rest, it's on Spotify and places.
I think it's on Apple Music as well.
And Apple Music.
I have that one. I literally was listening to that this morning and yesterday. So heck yeah, man.
On repeat, nonstop. I love it.
Actually, yeah, it's pretty solid. I get upset with songs like that sometimes. I'm just like, I'm just gonna play this on repeat.
Yeah. We like that.
No longer good.
Dude, off of that time, I may have made 0.005 cents. So thank you.
Let's go. Is that how it works? You're welcome.
Yeah. You're welcome. For me, I don't know. It's really cool. I feel like my soul, like this whole journey comes to completion when I talk with people and like they're emotionally impacted by my music. And like, I remember talking to, this is kind of a funny story. And then I know you asked me about where I'm going, so we'll get into that.
Ain't no flow. Go for it.
But this is very funny because I'm distracted. There's a cat on the roof over there.
The beers are kicking in. Here we go.
At some point, I'll show you guys my background there. There's like a nice yard of my cousin's house. Anyway, so just when I talk with someone and they're like, I can tell they're deeply emotionally impacted, it feels like what I'm here to do I'm doing. And that's just like that is so powerful, and that emotionally impacts me. And so I with this song, so I switched over distributors. I was using CD Baby before. How it works, you pay $10, $10 per song, and it goes out to all these platforms. So super easy, cheap, affordable. Now I'm on Indie Flow, which I recommended before. And basically what they did is the song was still up on Spotify, Apple Music, all that, and they re-uploaded it. So it's just kind of the same thing. But what it does is it hits like the Spotify algorithms for new music out there. And so I checked my phone all of a sudden, and I went from like, 30 monthly listeners to like 600. And I was like, what? No way. And then I checked the next day, it was like 700. And it was like 800. And I was like, this is crazy. Yeah. And so Spotify has all these analytics of like, where is your song? What demographics? Where are people listening to it? And I was like, oh, huh. Like people like, 50 years old to 70 years old are really liking this song. I was like, wow, that's, and keep in mind, we're in the midst of quarantine and COVID lockdown and stuff. And then I was like, huh. And Australia happens to be the top place right now.
You're hot in Australia, baby.
And I didn't think about it too much. And then someone was like telling me like, David, Australia had like such severe lockdowns. And anyway, so it's just funny. Like I can look on there and I'm like, okay, Australia, Singapore, Thailand, just like random all over the place, going back to the power of the internet. And anyway, so just seeing that, and that's really cool. And dude, that's a whole world. Like I can't even imagine what people are thinking and going through, and then they listen to this song or other songs. Like that's something like, and I will never know the impact of that. And for you, like you'll never know who's at one of your comedy shows or listening to one of your podcasts who like hears that thing that's like really pertinent, relevant to their life right then, and like really makes a difference for them. So it's powerful.
Yeah, it's snaps.
Snap it up. Yeah.
First time I did comedy, I relate to you. I always thought it was cheesy. I used to think it was cheesy when people said, I feel like this is what I was on this earth to do. Like you just said that.
Yeah.
6 years ago, before I did comedy, I would have been like, cheese. Do you want some wine with that cheese?
Yeah.
Like, so cheesy. But then I went and did comedy, and I was like, oh,
wow,
I see. This is what people meant. I did comedy the very first time, and I thought I was gonna bomb. I was with Brandon Q, and it was like I could see the crowd. It was a packed audience, and I was there 5 minutes, and I told a joke. Like I was like, all right, here we go. Like we're gonna.
Yeah.
I did the thing, and then you can't see them, but then I heard this wall of laughter, and I was like, holy shit! Like there is no drug on earth that can make you feel as good as it feels when you find out the thing that you were supposed to do in your life. And I get that. I totally get what you're saying, because there's like this feeling of like, for that moment, for those 5 minutes that I was on stage, that person forgot about their bills, and parents' cancer, and the time that they got the thing with the bill at the thing, and the court dates, and the whatever. And they laughed. You can't just you can't make up a laugh. I mean, people fake laugh, but not when you're at a comedy show. If I made you laugh, that's legit. Same thing for you. Someone in Australia cried because of you. Someone in America has cried because excuse me, United States. I say the United States. Someone in the United States has cried because of you. Somebody has listened to what you have sung, and in a song that came from your soul. And that part of your soul connected them with them so great that they felt joy, or they felt it moved them. It did something to them that before that moment they weren't, and since they haven't been the same. Even if it was if they forget what it was, right? They changed something within them that it drove them to an emotion, and that's powerful.
Yeah.
So I get you. I get you. I'm with you. This has been a really interesting episode, because I'm like, you're saying stuff, and I'm like, dude, yes.
Heck yeah. Yes.
I feel listened to. I feel like I understand.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I feel like there's I totally get that, and just when you feel that up there, and to what you just said, I feel like there's like a deeper human experience that we all go through, and just the more we can talk about it and can relate to it, and just have different people talking about it, and like, here's what I learned about that, or here's my take on that. I feel like there's just so much power that opens up with that, and love.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, brother. Ooh, that's so good. Ooh. All
And
right. What else? What I was gonna say? Play us. Play us.
yeah,
Is there something new to play?
yeah. Well, what I was gonna say is, speaking of love, let me play a little song called "Love Yourself." It's wow, you were fast with that caption. That was impressive. Does the audio sound good?
I think that either need to press it harder, and this time around I'm losing the piano for some reason. So play a little harder.
It's something's buzzing somewhere.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Sounds good. Okay. Yeah. So, I wrote this. I had I wrote this because sometimes we all have to remind ourselves to love ourselves. You wanna run, you wanna go, you've lost the fun, you've lost control. And sometimes I try to take a look in your eyes. I know that you're good, but you feel like you lie. And sometimes you're scared. I know we've all been there, but can you love you just the way you are? You wanna fly, you wanna soar, but you've got your mind out of control. And sometimes I try to take a look in your eyes and see the light. I wanna feel them shine. And I know that you're scared, baby, I'm well aware. But can you love you just the way you are? And now, so that's kind of how we had written it so far. And then this is the single I'm going to work on after Sooner or Later. And we recently came up with an outro. So getting some drums in. So can you love you just the way you are? Boom, 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 right? And then we get big top. Boom, boom, boom. So then, oh, hey, oh.
This is like looking into your process.
Yeah.
This is so fun.
Cause baby, you are worth it. Cause baby, you are worth it, and you deserve it. And I don't know when those thoughts will go away. You are worth it, and you deserve it. And I don't know when those thoughts will go away. And then, so what I'm gonna do, the whole song is can you love you, kind of in that John Mayer register, just the way you are. But then on the last part, my throat is a little hoarse, but on that last part, cause baby, you are worth it, and you deserve it. And I don't know when those thoughts will go away. And you are worth it, and you deserve it. And I don't know when those thoughts will go away. And then you got the drums. Boom, 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 so have a big build up and outro, and I don't know, and then I'm still figuring out what the last lyrics are going to be, so here's the thing of mine is that a lot of times people write songs and it's I'm depressed or I'm not feeling good, and then they go through the lyrics and then all of a sudden the song's over and you're like, well, that didn't make me feel any better. I felt gotten for a moment, and then it was and life sucks. And it's oh no. Oh man. Well, that was where we arrived to. So what I'm about is taking those lows, when you don't love yourself, and then resolving it. And it's all right, we're gonna take you to the other side. So anyway, I'm just thinking 'cause baby, you are worth it and you deserve it, but I don't know when those thoughts will go away. Right? So then it's like, but maybe they're just thoughts at the end of the day, or but you've got the love you've got my love at the end of the day.
Bro, we're
Something like
watching you write
that.
music here.
Yeah,
It's
something like
epic.
that.
This is so
So
cool.
thank you. And then it's like, anyway, I just get excited when I hear like the drums boom 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 boom, and kind of have that layer, and oh, yeah, and then oh, I lost it. And you have maybe strings like, yeah, just like different layers, just stacking it up.
Crushing. Yeah, dude.
Crashing it.
That's epic. I'm excited for this. So
Yeah,
all of these are gonna come out in the same album? Or
So
is it the plan, or or is this like you're working on multiple albums at the same time? I don't even know what the
yeah.
how that would work.
So I put out 2 singles in 2020, and then in 2021 was working on a lot of different pieces of singles, but nothing came out. And now 2022, we are looking to get past all the, the slow stuff and just really start making stuff happen. And that's like, making stuff happen in me, where it's like, all right, I'm making this happen. I'm sharing with people, getting a team involved, mixing engineer, all that. So anyway, so Sooner or Later is going to come out in February, and then Love Yourself, we're looking for March. Basically, kind of, we're looking for one song every month, kind of, that's going to drip into an album. And then September is the Grammy cutoff time. So we gonna finish that. We're shooting to finish the album by September, so we can be in by that deadline. And yeah, and just, kind of making all those songs, and then just having in my mind like how they'll actually flow in the album. So that way I can have like, all right, the ambience of this song is crickets, and it's going to go down, and then all of a sudden it's silent, but then the crickets are like back in for the next song. So just like thinking through ahead of time how it'll all flow.
I love it, dude. Epic. This
Epic.
is so cool.
Epic.
Yeah. And honestly, I like what you said there about, taking you from point A to point B at the end of the song. Because sometimes you could start at point A and you end at point A. You kind of go to like A.1, but then it's like come back, and then it's like you're still at A. It's like I didn't help.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a journey. The whole song is a journey.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Dude, I love that. I love that, brother. So cool.
I'm gonna go kick my dog anyway.
Yeah, that's right. Screw this.
Yeah.
I was sad, and now I'm more sad.
Yeah.
It's epic. Oh, brother. Okay, so let me do this. I want to play Freeze Dried.
That's what I was just thinking. Good thinking.
And then we might jump into some Ponytails, and then we might we'll see where that leaves us at that point. Is that cool?
Perfect. Sounds good.
Let me do some Freeze Dried. So as I'm pulling this up and sharing the screen, you want to tell us a little bit about what about this song, what's coming up here? Because
yeah, sure.
I thought it was really cool.
Yes. So I would say, so Freeze Dried, I kind of had, you don't have access to pull up a TikTok, do you?
I might.
You might. All right.
Let's see.
So if we can happen to do that, I don't use TikTok much yet.
What am I looking for here? You're a TikTok?
So, yeah. What is that? Yeah. So it's like David Thomas Music, I think. Yeah, at David Thomas Music.
Okay, I see.
Sweet. So I started using TikTok for a little while, and then I stopped. I'll get back to it eventually. And
there's an I miss you, baby. That's not you.
No.
Okay. At David. We have a TikTok too, but I haven't really used it much. It just seems like young children's things, but honestly, TikTok is taking off. It's actually legit. So okay,
so
David Thomas Music, right there you are. Okay.
And you have this where you can stream it.
Let me see if I can share this.
All right. So the one with 671 views on there. Oh, perfect. Look at that. It's just beautiful.
I had this song idea.
Your hair's so short.
Right?
Cool. I like it. So I put it in FL Studio. Maybe some bongos. Now, I think the hook needs horns. Horn harmony. Check this out. Cool. Outside my frame of mind, my feet can feel the rhythm of time. The streets is real from this beat to mine. Rise up, let's let it shine.
I love it.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. So anyway, that's kind of like a little look into the process. Have like some sort of idea like that. And anyway, so the vocal that was kept coming out was like freeze dried, and I was like, I don't really know what that means, but whatever. I like I was eating freeze dried mangoes at the time a lot, and anyway, then someone brought to my attention later of like sort of in our society the way we're like all up in our phones, and it's like we're not like fresh fruit right now. A lot of times we're kind of freeze dried. We're dehydrated, shoved in plastic, all that kind of thing. And I was like, that's a really interesting way to look at it. Anyway, so we came up with this song. And by the way, these vocals, I was like, I'm going to half-ass sing it. And then, because this is just a sample, and then we ended up making like a sample video off of it. We're going to shoot a bigger one, closer to the summer. And anyway, so you can see
this is raw. By the way, it's only available on our YouTube, but it's private, so people can't see this. This is because it's got to show up on YouTube. It's got to look like it's on YouTube,
okay.
But that's because it's the raw video. So if you're watching, this is a sneak peek of what's coming. It's not available yet.
Oh my gosh.
Wait, what happened? Your cat? He's carrying a dead bird.
He rolled up in here with a dead bird in his mouth. I looked down and the cat's with the dead bird, and I'm like,
freeze dry it, bro.
Oh, good idea.
That's it. That's gonna be a soundbite.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
gonna need that. So cat just straight up pulled up with a dead bird into this recording of this podcast. I love it. This is the Bookfield podcast right here. Oh man. All right, here we go. So here's freeze dried. Let me know if you can see this. You can see it. You should be able to see it right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here we go.
Oh.
Woo! That's right. Yeah. We're freeze dried, better free your mind. Better take the time to walk the line. You can feel the beats, freak out your rhymes. Take it one step at a time. It's my time, I'm hitting the vibe. Wanna wake up, countdown, stealing the fire. Wanna speed up, slow down, spin it around. We'll hop up to the wire. My bones alive, my heart my soul signs. It's your life, wanna dance all through to the other side. I'm a horseman to this time. And if I decide my frame of mind, my feet can feel the rhythm of time. These streets can feel from the beat to my rise up, let's let it shine.
And those are just random people on the promo.
Freeze up. Freeze up.
I worked on this with my friend Ralph, and he was like, "Hey guys, can you be in this video?"
Alright. Freeze dry, got a ticket to ride. The streets are dead, grab a key, let's drive. Book a seats, look ahead and to the other side. Let's hop up on our way. Wanna watch the talk before I walk the walk. Wanna let the bots talk across the wall. Wanna stop the drop, stop, drop and roll. There's sunshine up ahead. Let's beat the drum, let's keep the hum. Let's be the ones where the love's begun. Let's teach the young of the future coming up. Together is the way. I felt the heat, I took it high. On my feet, no defeat, I won't get tired. Let's defeat the demons and the devil and the rock together.
So I met this brass band in the park, and they actually recorded the horns on there. So I went through their list. Yeah. And I got this really cool bass player, Leaf Lewis, like 60-year-old dude from Brooklyn. And this guy Percy also to do the guitar on there. So anyway,
Whoa.
and it's really cool getting like live musicians and instrumentalists to play on there, especially these like two like 50, 60-year-old Brooklyn cats just like playing their bass guitar, horns, all that kind of stuff.
So say that last bit just in case someone might not have heard because of the song was played. So you
sure,
got
for
a
sure.
live band
Yeah.
that was there.
Yeah, so I was in Brooklyn Bridge Park and I heard this brass band just like playing in the middle of the park. And I was like, that's cool. So I went and talked to one of them. And I'm always like on the lookout for like good musicians and instrumentalists and that kind of thing.
Like a bookman.
Right, good book, man. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Go approach them. And anyway, so I talked with the brass band, and later, 6 months later, I gave one of them a call and I was like, hey, I'm working on this music video about like, getting connected to yourself, like, opening things up and just really to inspire like love and hope. And they were like, yeah, for sure. So I sent them the stems, like my just what I'd played on the piano. They turned it into sheet music. I went over there and they just like recorded all these horn layers. So just incredible.
No.
And then I had a bass player come in, just like super cool dude, Leaf Lewis. And I was like, do you know anyone who's really good on guitar? And he's like recommended me to his friend Percy, who's like, so anyway, we just got like different cool people on there and looking to release this probably like May-ish as like a good summer release.
That's funky. I love it. Dude, I love your range. That's a solid range. It's pretty solid.
Thank you.
Damn, dude.
Thank you.
Pretty good
stuff.
stuff.
You want to hear how high of a note I can hit?
Let's do it. Let's
okay. It's my falsetto voice. So,
that is. That's high.
Hopefully
that's
you can turn
Galileo.
it down.
Yeah. Maybe as people are listening, hopefully they got like an idea. Bro, that was like Galileo stuff from
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Bohemian Rhapsody. That's right. That's epic.
Yeah.
Oh, brother. Alrighty, well, dude. First of all, before we get into the ponytails, I want to say that this has been a really cool episode. I really appreciate it. The vibe, the chill of it. So, and before we jump in, and at the end we'll do a proper goodbye. But before we jump into the ponytails, I want to make sure I give a shout out to some of our other partners, and then we can wrap it up with the ponytails and move on to the closing section of the show. The one I haven't talked about yet, and we normally wait till the ponytails to do so, is Martine and Lucasz. You know Martine Kyle, right? You were selling at the same time. Dude.
Cool dude.
Yeah. They partner with us, bro. They're awesome. And Lucas Biscup, they are doing DJing as well. So they're in the same industry, in the sound industry, music industry. They just did the Freddy's, which is really sweet. Did you go to GRS? Have you gone to GRS while you were in Southwestern? Yeah. And they were the first DJ to do a DJ set to do the Freddy's, which is really fun. And they are also going to be doing my wedding.
Hey, nice.
Yeah, coming up here on February 8th, I'm getting married. So she's pretty cool. I guess we'll keep doing the thing. I guess you can say it's getting pretty serious.
Nice.
And so shout out to Martine and Lucasz. If you guys are looking for a DJ for an event, whether it's an alumni reunion, a wedding, outside gig, whatever it is, a party, a festival, cannot overhype these guys. So make sure you reach out to us. We can get you hooked up with them. They are for any occasion, whether it is you're like, what do they do country? They do country. Do they do Hispanic stuff? They do Hispanic stuff. Do they do pop? They do pop. They do whatever you're looking for, like any good DJ would. And so on that note, because they're book guys, it's easier to just really vouch for them, just generally speaking. You know how book people are kind of generally a little bit more trustworthy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Something about them. You're like, you sold books. I know something about you. You're a great person.
Character.
So, that's right. Character building seminars lead to character people. And so for sure. So yeah, man, that is them. And so let's do this. I want to see what you what's in your brain, in your creative artistic brain. It was like an impactful moment for you, whether it was funny or sad or inspirational from your time going door to door. We love doing these ponytails here at the end of the show. So Mike, over to you, sir.
Cool. So for me, I think what I want to share, I mean, of course there's like different funny things of my first time riding a lawnmower on someone's yard that they let me do. And Yeah, I think basically I had talked in the beginning about sort of the hero's journey and how going through different ups and downs and how my first summer ended. And so I was working in my turf, which was Forest Hills, Michigan. I think it was Forest Hills. And it was like, I was in like a big brick neighborhood, so really nice houses. And I had this thing which was like in between goal periods, I would do cartwheels. I was like, that's like a really good way to mix up the energy. So my watch went off. It was 3:00, and I was like in this really nice neighborhood. And so I put down my bag. And I was at this house where like none of them were answering the door. And I was like, whatever. So I put down my bag and I'm like, all right, it's time for some cartwheels. So I'm like, take my big, long, lanky body and I'm like doing these cartwheels across their yard there. And anyway, so cartwheel time is over and we go on and we move on and we're like, like 2 hours later, we're somewhere in a different part of the neighborhood, and all of a sudden a cop car rolls up, and I'm like, okay, like if you're a book person, you've seen that before. And anyway, they're like, these cops, they tell me, they're like, hey, just want to let you know your permit's it's no longer active. You're no longer allowed to go door to door. You got to go talk to the town clerk. And I was like, oh, okay. All right, well, we're just gonna figure this out. So I get to the town clerk, and they're like, well, we had a complaint. We had one of our, our residents call in saying that you were intimidating them and that you were doing cartwheels on their front yard. And I was like, oh, wow. Oh, my gosh. I thought they weren't home. So they were home, and they were just like looking out their window, and they thought it was an act of intimidation. So I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And they were like, all right, well, your permit's no longer active. You can't sell books here in Forest Hills. So I was like, all right, well, and this is like, kind of getting the juice at the end of the summer. And I was like, I know, something is going to work out. Something's going to good is going to happen. So I called Jake, and he was like, all right, well, we've got this other turf over in Allegan, Michigan. Tirza, she's been selling over there, and she's been doing pretty well. So you can go on over in there, and you can take over. So I go over there. It's like a 45-minute drive each day in the morning. And it's this just small little bitty town. And I'm so blessed because Tirza has done amazing work. She has sold to like the top teacher who's lived in the turf. She's like holding it down. She sold to the principal. She sold to everybody over there, like all these names. So I go in and I'm feeling really good. I'm like, whatever's going to happen. So we start selling books. And we're like, boom. And it's like, as soon as I say these names, people are like, oh, wow, they bought it. And then boom, they buy. And this is my last week of the summer. And so I had never, maybe my top was like 300. No, not even 300, probably like 275 units, something like that. And so I'm going through and, just selling. And then this is my last day. And I'm at like 550 units. It's like 8:00 at night. And I'm like, 550. PC, 600 units. We're trying to get that. So I'm driving around. I'm like, who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? And like all of my, because what I was doing is as I was delivering, I was tacking on and just had a really good attitude. And people were just buying and they're tacking on like full sets, SAT stuff, all this kind of thing. So I'm at 550 units and I'm looking around and finally I see one house with the lights on. They got like a kid's bike in the front yard. And I'm like, all right. So I pull in and go in. There's a sit down, like really cool family. And they're like looking at just getting the whole set. And I'm like, all right, like we got this. And so we're there, and I end up giving them like a little bit of a discount, like knock off a few. I was like, and for you guys, I'm going to knock off $50. And anyway, so they buy, and I leave that house, and I'm like, boom, I just hit PC like last week of the summer. And let me tell you, man, just like, and like, yes, on one hand, it's like, boom, sold books, like hit PC and all that kind of thing. And at the same time, also, it was just such a profound and deep like realization of that hero's journey. And it's like, boom, like I can win. Like I can step out. I can finish strong, in Southwestern managers, like, like I always finish strong. Right. And it's just like really being that and like doing that. And it's just so profound. And then we had like, so just finishing there and just, I remember that night I was staying with Christian Gamble at this house and I bought a bottle of champagne on my way home, and our host family, we climbed up to their roof and we opened the bottle of champagne. We passed it back and forth looking at the stars at the end of our first summer. my first, his second. And it was just it just felt like a spiritual moment. And it's just like, that's what the book field has to provide. Just like going in different spaces, interacting with different people, and just crazy experiences. So it was beautiful.
Yeah, redemption.
Yeah.
And fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, and if you're listening, you don't know what PC means. It means that you take the number of units of 600 units and you take it times 7, and that's the profit that you made that for that week. So you made about $4,200, give or take, that week. But the money wasn't the part that was important. It was that you felt accomplished. You finished something that was hard and you did it on a high note. You saved the best for last. I want to win finish. Dude,
I want to win.
Brilliant, bro. People don't really analyze those stories and think like how impactful that is for you. That you can finish something like that strong, brother. That's epic.
Yeah.
That's a funny story.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, I left and I went back to my high school friends in New York, and like we were playing beer pong, and I used to like always crumble under pressure, like not hit those there. And I was like, and just like hitting all the beer pong cups, playing with my friend Guy, and people are like, what's going on? And I was like playing basketball, and just it like the experience on the book field and excelling in something like what I was just telling you, it can change deep down like who you see yourself as. So it translates in other areas.
That's a soundbite right there.
Boom. Boom. I've been seeing repeating numbers recently, and I just looked up before, and it was 555. So
let's go. That's epic, bro. Oh my gosh, brother, David Thomas, man.
And what?
Go ahead.
Yeah, what I was going to say is we can wrap this up. And what I want to say, just finishing the question, you said what I'm up to. So basically want to finish album, right, by September, get that first debut album. And what I'm really looking to do is then start moving on to collaborating with people who are out there, like people like working with Justin Bieber and just other big people, and just like, just being on really, really, really cool, really talented people. It's like, I want strings on something, like, yo, Hans Zimmer, just like having those connections and that ability to do that. So doing that, and then just in my personal life, I'm working more on DJing actually, and getting into some modeling, working with one of my friends who's an agent, and some acting. So just like really looking to build kind of that flexible lifestyle, and just kind of have that centered around just making good music that helps people connect with themselves. And like we talked about before, finding that thing that really makes you go, just helping people to get to that place.
Dude, couldn't have said it better myself, brother. You are a super talented human.
Thank you,
and
sir.
I am thankful that you gave us some time and shared some of this music with us. The beautiful thing about what you just said, about everything you just said, is I have no doubt. I have no doubt that that's where you're going, and I have no doubt that that's where you're going to end up, and you're going to make it. So when you become famous, just remember us little guys at the Ponytail Podcast. I will forever be thankful that you shared some of the stuff that hasn't been released yet, and this is the place where people can go to kind of catch a glimpse of the big things that are coming your way. So, dude, so happy to have had you. We'll wrap this guy up. One last word from our last partner of the day, EnLight.Energy. I'm gonna that's right. Beep 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 beep. Let me some soft, like, yeah. Oh yeah, they'll appreciate this over at EnLight. Yeah. Listen, life is hard. And sometimes you don't know. What is coming your way. And so on a serious note, EnLight.Energy. So this is a place where we have actually been in partnership with for one of the longest times. And wow, I really I work with this company part-time. It's really nice to have a leadership like that they have over at EnLight.Energy. It's a wonderful place to work if you're looking for something to do, again, with door-to-door and making sure that you get paid correctly and the right amount for doing so. But that's not the important part. The important part is that you're working with people who really lift you up and that are enjoyable to work with, and those are the folks over at EnLight.Energy. So if you guys are looking for something to do part-time, even or full-time, hit us up. We will get you connected with EnLight.Energy. They are changing the world, and I have no doubt that they're going to be one of the top solar companies in the world by the time it's all said and done. So these guys are doing solar, changing the world, giving us alternate energy to be able to improve life for people as well as helping them save money. They have a ton of really credible and really wonderful humans that are working with them. Julio Hernandez, good friend of mine. I love Julio. Shout out to you, brother. And they're crushing it over, especially if you are really anywhere in the country. They've got remote sales, but if you are wanting to, if you're in Florida particularly, good place to start for sure. So, thank you guys for being our partner. Love you lots. And as we close out, this has been David Thomas. My name is Andres Gamboa. I am the host of the Morning Cross podcast, and it was a pleasure to be with you guys today. David, where can people, last time for people just listening, where can people find you, and where can they go to get more of your stuff? Where can they follow you and keep up with what you're up to?
Yes. So we got David on Instagram, David_Thomas_music. And follow me on Spotify, Apple Music. That way, every time I release new music, you will hear that. And yeah, just under David Thomas, the name. It's like a black and white photo right now. It'll probably change eventually. And that's where you can find me.
David_Thomas_music, like so.
Just like you wrote it out perfectly.
Beautiful stuff. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for being here. We'll see you guys on the next one. Make sure you catch us. We are extending season 3 all the way through the end of January. Season 4 is going to be kicking off with the couples edition of the Ponytails podcast in February. That's what we're doing in February. We're going to have exclusively only guests who met in the book field, got married, and are living a joyful life in their marriage. In February is Curtis Rogers, Ben, let's see who else. I don't even know who else we got. Pete Morgan Burgess, a bunch of different people. So I'll pull up the schedule. You guys can see. Keep in touch. If you haven't yet, make sure you guys go to our YouTube, subscribe. Make sure you go to Instagram, like. Make sure you go Facebook, like. I guess Instagram you follow. We're on TikTok. Check us out on Patreon if you want to support. We have a really cool fan base community that's going to be launched here, and we're working on getting launched so you guys can get exclusive merch like this awesome hat. You guys can get backstage entry into some of the things that we have going on in the podcast, and you can vote on things about the podcast and the direction that we're heading, so you can have a big part of where we're going and what we're doing. So thank you for listening. We'll catch you guys on the next one. See ya.